How's it going, everybody? I am Preston Johnson.
Welcome to
Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV.
As a general life philosophy.
That's exactly right. You're a fish.
Qwan, by the way, my producer, Qwan Young, doing a good job. He'll be taking the calls. How you doing today, bud?
Hey, man, how are you?
We appreciate you guys tuning in. Welcome to the show, Bets TV, bringing you Last Word Cheetah. Welcome, everybody, to Last Word Cheetah, brought to you by Bets TV. I am Preston Johnson, hanging out in the Bets TV studios here with Qwan Young. It is a Friday. It is the weekend. One of my favorite days of the week. Qwan's sixth favorite day of the week. Misunderstood. By the way, I'm not sure if this got brought up yesterday, but Qwan actually went to a Wendy's. I know we were talking about it Wednesday. The pricing for his junior bacon cheeseburger or whatever it was off the value menu. You said it's over $4 now. It's not $1.99 at the local Southern California ones. It's $2.69. He got a picture. He did show me. So
But
somewhere in the middle.
But we also didn't talk about the price of Uber Eats. It was $3.75.
I'm shocked that a third-party service is charging more because they have to go
Listen,
pick it up.
I'm lazy. I'm an American. That's the price that sets the precedent because I don't drive to Wendy's anymore.
Except the next morning you did drive to Wendy's.
That was just to prove a point. I wanted to see the comparison.
Fair enough. But yeah, you can't really set the precedent on Uber Eats or Postmates or DoorDash or Grubhub. I'm probably forgetting some. Shout out to those services. They're sponsoring our show today. But really welcome. Welcome to those on the Game Plus Network. We're a show where we take your calls and you talk through your bets. We track them throughout the month. And sure enough, it's the last day we're doing a show in the month of July. And we have $700 to give away to our top bettors of the month. Now, there's really only two. The last few days, they've been going neck and neck, back and forth. It's Ty and Sarab. And yesterday was interesting because Ty ends up finding this really badly priced 50-meter freestyle Olympic swimming bet on Caleb Dressel, I believe is his name. And it was minus 370 at FanDuel. It was minus 600 to minus 1,000 at other books. So it was just cheaply priced. He did tell me later, by the way, he went out of his way to go actually bet real money on it. He also used it for his leaderboard. It won. It's crazy, like the margin, how thin it is in a 50-meter. Like he wins. He's such a big favorite by like 2 or 3 tenths of a second. It's just wild. But Sarab, we were talking it through. He wanted to bet the Blue Jays first 5. So there's no first 5 there. It was the first 5, just to be clear. And it was plus 104. But I told him if he does that, because he was trailing by more than the extra 4 cents on the plus 104, he's down, I think it was 0.12. He could go 3-way money line plus 133 and take the lead if he wins, which the Blue Jays did. So now as Ty sit here, it looks like 0.21 away. I'm interested to see how they kind of strategize here. Sarab could just take the back seat, hope Ty calls in and loses. Ty could assume that Sarab's going to win, and then he has to make up 1.21, right? So that means Ty has to go for an underdog that's bigger than plus 1.21. Plus 121 would be the way to say it for the price on the betting market. And if that's the case, then Sarab's the favorite to just sit back and watch Ty lose. So there's a little bit of he knows that I know that he knows that I know.
Gamesman.
A little Princess Bride. Is that the movie where they go back and forth?
Who do you think calls in first?
Well, it was interesting. I'll give Ty a shout out. He said it would have been lame, but he's like, I could have waited until the last minute the last few days and then locked in the same exact bet as Sarab and then just stayed on par with Sarab. The risk is that we don't always let callers in after the back half of the show because we're going through stuff. I was doing my ACC previews, which, by the way, we're going to talk to Dylan at Thoughts of Dylan. We'll bring him back later today to break down my ACC bets. Ray, still sick. Get better, buddy. We'll talk to you hopefully next week. But I don't know. But Ty could have gone that method. He didn't. He's been winning anyway. What's interesting is it's like not like he's been losing. So it's just that Sarab's been hot. He hit the 2-teamer. He hit Alonso at 5-1 in the home run derby. And then he's been hitting these plus money dogs. My guess is that Sarab doesn't call at all and just hopes Ty loses. But then this is what's interesting. Ty's going to have to wait to see if Sarab calls. Yeah. Because if Sarab's not calling, Ty's going to take a huge favorite where if he wins, he just lands up top. So then Sarab just sits there and watches Ty win a huge favorite and swimming again at 3 a.m. or whatever. I know you didn't wake up to watch it. I didn't either, but I'm not sure. So it's going to come down to kind of who breaks first, and then the second person will have to adapt and strategize. But I am interested to see that.
You know who is going to call in, though? Tone.
Actually, I heard he got kicked off the show after yesterday's performance. They nixed him.
I'm pretty.
He was
sure,
canceled.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna get another nickname or
alias. Someone that sounds familiar with a third name, because I believe since he branded himself Tone, he's over.
Was he?
He's firing the parlays. I get it, but look. And by the way, you don't need to go for 50-1 shots. Go for a 30-1 shot because you're only down like 20 units.
What was he before he rebranded? Like 1-3?
Yeah, I think he had won once, and now he hasn't won since. So,
you know who
better luck next month for a lot of you.
I like Andre, his breakdowns. His breakdowns are good.
By the way, and Tone didn't see it. I don't know what Tone's Twitter handle is, but Andre had some information and evidence of certain WNBA players sitting on the Nigerian bench, and he tweeted it. You want to go look it up?
Yeah.
Tone, you can take a gander. But Andre was trying to go. He didn't call back in like 7 times like Tone did yesterday, so he was just going the Twitter direction. But I tried to tag Tone. I couldn't find it. I went and looked for Anthony. I looked for Tone. I didn't see anything populating that I recognized. So anyway, go look at it. You'll see. Regardless, a couple of worthy news things to hit before we take our break and then start taking the calls in 3 minutes. One, a CryptoPunk ape just sold for over $3.7 million, like in the last hour. Gary V decided to just fire $3.76 million into it, and then 15 punks sold like immediately after everyone started kind of chasing. But big story.
Rolling in the dough.
Other big story, one that has actually a little more relevance to our convos here on Bits TV and Last Word Cheetah. Carson Wentz, which was reported right before we went live by Michael Silver, told that the Wentz foot injury involves a bone and a ligament. Colts had been hoping for better news and are now bracing for possible surgery. Poor guy. I was hoping, by the way, I guess check to make sure the Colts win totals or other teams in the division win totals or divisions or yes-no playoffs aren't offered at your book still, but it's not looking like Carson Wentz will be quarterback. Jacob Eason, I believe, was taking the reps with the first team. Quarterback out of Georgia that, man, he never even really became what he was supposed to be at Georgia, let alone now he's in the NFL. Wouldn't want to bet on him. I'm not sure if they can find someone else to come in that they can use. I feel bad because I kind of wanted this resurgence in Carson Wentz story to be a thing, and man, it's just been rough since his first injuries in Philadelphia after that MVP caliber start to a season. Seems like forever ago. But yeah, that's big. And then Dak Prescott also injured in practice. On the more positive end, he'll be back much sooner than later. They say they're going to keep it cool, keep it calm, make sure there's nothing wrong, but he should be fine and good to go. I believe it was a shoulder, so not related to his injury from last year either with his foot. And the last thing I want to say before we take a break, I am a Lakers fan. We are down here near Los Angeles. It's where I grew up, and the Russell Westbrook trade going down yesterday with what now appears to not involve Buddy Hield, even though I was told he was going to probably be both. And Woj even tweeted about Buddy Hield and the Kuzma going to Sacramento, but now Kuzma's going to Washington. I'm not sure if there's some three-way thing that's going to happen. Either way, if they don't get Buddy Hield and they trade for Russell Westbrook, who's been a negative impact guy for a few seasons in a row, who was traded for a dead John Wall that hadn't played in 3 years just a year ago, and now the Lakers are trading assets like Kuzma, THT potentially, right? 22nd pick, Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder as sign-and-trade options to make the money work. KCP, who's their best shooter, they're going to need shooting. I don't know who's shooting from behind the three-point line. I'm a little heated. It can't be official till August 6th because of the sign-and-trade contract stuff, so maybe there's more that will pop up. But, man, I don't see how Anthony Davis, who never likes to play the five, he says he doesn't play center. You can have a center, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Russell Westbrook, who's shooting threes. And your best shooter is going to Washington, KCP.
You know whose time it is? Andre Drummond.
He's not
Drummond
for one. I'm pretty sure he won't be playing for the Lakers. I think he's a free agent, right? He can just go. I don't think the Lakers are bringing him back, but Davis has to play the five more frequently to space the floor. We need to take a break. This is Last Word Cheetah. We're Bets TV. 661-515-BETS is the phone number. We're going to take your calls on the other side. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to Last Word Cheetah. We have a few callers waiting on the line. I'm intrigued in general if we get enough callers, because I think Ty and Sarab are so far ahead of everyone else, they might not even bother calling in today, other than Tone, because he has his own segment now. He's the first to call in. So let's bring him in. Yeah, we might as well see what the parlay is. He probably is wondering what his real minus number is. It's really bad. You need like a 30-1 shot.
I'm not wondering what it is. It's terrible. We're taking last place. I want the graphic to say Tone last. It doesn't need a number next to it. We're gonna take last place, even though Carlos is probably there. We'll take it. We'll take it on the head, and we'll take it on the head. I thought you were gonna start the show with the greatest moment in NBA draft history. That moment of silence for Mr. Siakam, greatest moment in NBA draft history.
Our friend Kendrick Perkins, because of one draft pick, just offers up a public moment of silence for Pascal Siakam, as if he's not a basketball player anymore or on the Raptors. I'm shocked that even happened, but I tweeted about it. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it was great. It was. I was laughing out loud for about a minute. You had to have watched it. But
LeBron's taking the back seat to Russell Westbrook. Mobley's the next Bill Russell. Perkins was on one. I loved it all.
He's always on one. Let's be honest.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for the small guards, because like we killed the center and made the power forward the center, small guards are done. With that Australian guy going 6, it's all big guards from here on out. So moment of silence for the little boys. Moment of silence for the little boys.
How good do you think you would have been, Tone? Like, what's your NBA comp had you been taller? Had you had more size?
Oh, I mean, I'm one of those guys that's just all offense, no defense. So
okay. So you got like a little Trae Young in you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
He caught himself hard.
We're taking a rest on defense, and we're letting them rip on offense.
Reminds me of, so I watched Space Jam 1. After Space Jam 2 came out, I went back, I watched Space Jam 1 with my kids, and Bill Murray plays the guy who's like all offense, no defense, and he plays like 2 plays and he's too tired and he has to exit the game and go back to the locker room. But that's you. Okay. I think it's the perfect comp. It works out. Do you have a 5-teamer for us?
No, we're accepting defeat. A real man accepts defeat.
All right.
I want Zion MVP. Book it.
I actually know someone fairly sharp that bet it after they traded Steven Adams and brought in Valanciunas. They thought, and then they traded out Bledsoe. They just thought he'll get more usage. He'll also just be on a better team. Maybe they win more games. He'll be in the mix. I think he was 30-1 at the time or 20-1. It was one of those two. Did you bet it yourself already?
You can get 40-1 on DraftKings.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Okay.
Plus 4,000.
Let's check this real quick. Zion MVP. Yep, 40-1, 40-1, 45-1. He must not have bet 20-1. I just misremembered what I saw in this thread. But he bet something. Zion MVP. It was probably 40. PointsBet has the best price, 45-1 for anyone listening. I don't disagree. This won't count, obviously, for any of our monthly leaderboard cash we give away. But we'll remember if you're right down the road in half a year.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, he's a big name, but he's like so underappreciated for what he did last year.
You think so?
I mean, what was it, 26? I mean, he's shooting like nearly 70%, averaging 26 a game, and they don't, for what he is, they don't talk about him a ton.
It's fair. I feel like he just has to win games, and then they'll talk about him more.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, nearly 70% shooting. If you mean nearly 60%, you're right. So he wasn't quite like Wilt Chamberlain-esque. And his three-point shooting dropped off from 43% to 29%. So, I don't know. He still has a ton of room to improve, but he played a lot more minutes, which is helpful. He could easily do a 30-8 with 4 assists, steal, block. It could happen. I think it's a fine bet. I think the Pelicans in general will be a lot better team.
Have a nice weekend, boys.
You too. Take it easy, and in the literal sense, please take it easy, Tone. We have Andre, by the way, our new favorite caller, who shot back at Anthony in the Twitter thread yesterday with the women's team, which, by the way, I haven't looked. Did that 19.5 cover? They played Japan, right?
Yes, I have to get that info myself. I was already jumping to the next thing. I have to go back and see if the U.S. women took care of business. They
won by 17.
Correct...
So no dice.
Yeah. No dice. All right, Tarazi, Stewart, they got to do a little bit more for me. But I have the correct sport today for my pick. I'm looking at Team USA versus the Czech Republic. Tomorrow at 8 o'clock, we got a spread of 24.5. I think that Team USA is going to continue to be dominant and assertive. I think they're going to cover that. Reason being, had to look up the Czech Republic. They played Iran in the first game. They won by 6 points. I believe it was 84-78. They played France the second game. They caught a 20-piece, okay? Lost 97-77. So this Czech Republic, you only beat Iran by 6, and then you get just demolished by a France team that Team USA should have beaten. They're right now. It's like kind of like they're ready. They're not going to be competitive against Team USA, and I think that we'll take another opportunity to go out and just show the world that they mean business. They're not trying to be embarrassed. They want to go ahead and get the gold. So I think they're going to show up and cover and win resoundingly. Team USA minus 24.5. I think they're going to handle business. In terms of Tone, I think he's a great caller. I think he's a great statistician. The situation with the Owumenke sisters is, so Chinny obviously has the radio show. Nneka was, Chinny and Nneka, they both play for the Sparks. Nneka, MVP candidate, so on and forth. And then the youngest sister, who's also off to med school, Erica, she is on the team. So the youngest sister is on the team, who is not as necessarily heralded athletically. And then Nneka wanted to be on the team, but because she played so long for Team USA, they wouldn't allow it. So that was the kind of backstory. So he was 2/3 of the way right, but the youngest sister, she actually is on the team, and one of the other sisters wanted to try to be on the team. I want to let you get to your ACC stuff. Team USA, don't let me down. The women, you didn't really let me down. That was close enough. But the men are going to win by 30+ tomorrow. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah, we appreciate Andre. I believe he's a big transitive property guy. I don't know if you remember geometry proofs.
A²
back in the day.
Feast
No,
where-
that's Pythagorean theorem.
Listen, man, I told you it's not. Which one?
Transitive property is like when you just. This is really something you shouldn't do very frequently when you're betting sports. That's why I'm bringing it up. Not a jab at Andre at all, but when you're like, wow, USA beat Iran by 50, who only lost to Czech by 6, USA must beat the Czech Republic by at least 25. Like these events, these one game samples, they're too small to just base it off of looking at one game and thinking, okay, well, this must happen. By the way, I can give you minus 24, though. There is 24s, not even the 24.5. You can get a little better price. So we'll lock Andre in there. I kind of do agree, though, that the USA team just in general has just been undervalued. It was the bottom of the barrel buy was laying 39.5, 40, 40.5 against Iran. But this might be another one where you do lay it. I don't think he's necessarily wrong. I just am bringing up, hey, don't get caught up in the transitive property. It doesn't usually pay off very well. Do we have anyone that's been on hold? I'm telling you, Sarab and Ty.
It's like a waiting game.
It's a waiting game duel to the death. Who's gonna blink first?
It's got to be Sarab.
Hold on. I need to think of something off the top of my head right now to incentivize one of them to call. Like maybe if I told Sarab to call now and bet first, potentially risking the 700 he could win having heard what Ty does first. But if he calls, I just give him like $50 right now. No matter what, you get at least 50. Maybe that's not enough, though, to incentivize him. I don't know. We'll start there, Sarab. If you just call first before Ty and want to lock in a play, I'll give you $50 just for calling in. I'm not sure if that's enough to get him to. He'll consider it. We'll see.
Maybe I feel like he works like during the first part of the show because he normally calls in late.
He's usually a later caller anyway. Takes his lunch in 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, all the last week, he's like one of the last callers.
It could be. So let's do this while we wait for some more callers. We also have a break in 5 minutes or so. Let's run your NFL team preview. No? We got a call? Oh, he has to do some stuff and get it set up. All right, so we can't run it right away. We have the long conversation we're going to have with Dylan on the other side of the break. So for the next 4 or 5 minutes, Sarab, $100. You're in the lead. It benefits you to wait and see what Ty does, but I'll give you $100 if you just call in first right now. If you're listening from work,
what about Ty?
Tell your boss your stomach hurts.
Let's incentivize Ty too.
Well, Ty should be calling in either way. Eventually, he has to call in. He's losing. He can't not. And then Sarab will never make a play if Ty doesn't call. So Ty does need to call. Ty should keep him from getting the 100 and just call right now.
Just
before
call
he
at 159.
Is there anything else Detroit-wise, Pistons-wise in the draft that you're upset about, happy about? Anything?
We got a call.
We do.
$50 you're giving up.
Is it Sarab? Welcome to the show. Is it Sarab for sure? Is this him?
Sarab, you're on.
I can't hear him. Can you hear us all right? His boss must have saw him. Yeah. He's like, wow, $100 offer just to call in and make the play first. And he's like at the cubicle. Hey, wait, I heard a noise. Sarab, are you there?
Yes, man. I'll take that $100.
Okay, so you're getting 100 no matter what, potentially 800 if you still wins. But you got to lock this in first, and then Ty can strategize after the fact. What were you thinking? What has your strategy been to this point? And then what are you going to go with?
So I was thinking I was going to wait to see if I did and then kind of go from there. So it's actually giving me more options because, assuming he had done something like for a plus 122, I probably could have taken another dog that was like plus 123. So even if he wins, I win kind of thing.
Sure.
But I wanted the $100, and I also want to kind of force him into actually doing an underdog play because I didn't want to get jammed up on him doing like one of those big favorites. So I'm going to pull the ultimate big favorite on him for my unit. I don't even know if this is allowed, but I want to do a Team USA money line.
Of course it's allowed. Anyone could go to the book right now and lay minus 5,000 on Team USA to beat the Czech Republic. So I'm not going to say no. So it's basically a free win. So now Ty knows where he's at. Look, if they lose, you're going to be like minus 41 units or something. But 40, I guess it would be 40. But you have nothing to actually lose because it resets in August and we start from, scratch again. So I like this strategy. I hadn't actually considered this. Just take the biggest favorite possible. The game is going to be 5 a.m. our time, overnight basically, or early tomorrow morning. So
7 a.m.
Yeah, Ty knows where he's at. I'm not even going to ask you why you're betting Team USA. It all makes sense. He's basically taking the W plus the $100 and is letting Ty find out an underdog that can beat him, letting it sit there. I like the strategy, man. Good luck.
Thanks, Preston. Take care.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
We want to play it? All right, can we get it in before the break, you think? Cool. All right, that works. Quan's ready for the video. Another NFL breakdown from him, and then we'll hit a break after that.
What's up, everybody? It's me, DeQuan Young, and today we're talking Philadelphia Eagles. The Doug Peterson era in Philadelphia is over, and they came away with the championship, but after crazy personnel decisions, injuries, and the complete regression of Carson Wentz, this offseason, the Eagles chose to fly in a different direction. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how bad is this Eagles team really? A team that fielded 14 different offensive line combinations in 2020 was bound to have a level of inconsistency on the offensive side of the ball. Not to mention, every offensive starter sustained some type of injury throughout the course of the year. What's up, everybody? It's me, DeQuan Young, and today we're talking Philadelphia Eagles. The Doug Peterson era in Philadelphia is over, and they came away with the championship, but after crazy personnel decisions, injuries, and the complete regression of Carson Wentz, this offseason, the Eagles chose to fly in a different direction. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, how bad is this Eagles team really? A team that fielded 14 different offensive line combinations in 2020 was bound to have a level of inconsistency on the offensive side of the ball. Not to mention, every offensive starter sustained some type of injury throughout the course of the year. Nick Sirianni will be taking over as head coach, and his big free agency move was to sign Joe Flacco as a backup quarterback. Now, one thing the Philadelphia Eagles have going for them is their strength of schedule, or lack thereof. This season, the Eagles have the weakest schedule in the NFL. And may I remind you, it's the NFC EAST. We're talking the Washington football team led by Ryan Fitzpatrick. We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys led by Dak Prescott, who just got injured again. And we're talking about the New York Giants. Jeffrey Lurie said the Eagles were building towards the future. Well, that future is now after the Eagles selected Heisman Trophy winner DeVonta Smith 10th overall. Now, everybody's going to question his size, but he'll get bigger, and he's fast. Who cares? If Smith can sustain an injury-free season, whoo, buddy. There are some player props that you would love to look at, like 5.5 touchdowns on the season. The key to this Eagles season will lie squarely on the shoulders, legs, and arm of Jalen Hurts. In 2020, Hurts completed 77 of 148 passing attempts for 1,061 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. He managed to pull out a victory over the Saints in the Eagles' final win of the season. Granted, it was against Taysom Hill, but he still played spectacularly. Last season, the defense left a lot to be desired, but that was due in large part to the offense being terrible. Look for this unit to struggle early, but if new defensive coordinator Jonathan Gannon can get this unit to progress throughout the year, it's the NFC EAST. So if you're looking to make some futures bets on the Eagles, here's some of the prices you can get. Check out the player prop shop on FTN Bets to get specific props and prices on players like Jalen Hurts and DeVonta Smith. This has been DeQuan Young talking futures bets for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next up, the New York Football Giants.
Quan thinks I didn't hear the Taysom Hill jab in that video. 30 seconds before it ended.
It wasn't that at all. It was just the fact that I know that there are people out there that are still believing in Taysom Hill. And before we even get to Philly, I saw that he was taking first-team reps yesterday, and there were people that were excited about that, and I don't understand why.
We really need to go through this again.
Yeah,
this is supposed to be the Eagles' time, and you want to talk more Taysom Hill?
We can talk Eagles. We'll talk Saints eventually.
All right. Did you have a bet on the team, the Eagles, as far as their win total, division future, Super Bowl? You think the market's pretty fair? You want to stay away?
It's scary, but I don't want to.
Like, what price would you need for them to win the NFC East in your head? Like if I gave you 4-1, would you bet them?
It's 5-1, isn't it, right now?
Yeah, you can get as high as 5.5 to 1.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm getting, so I can't risk it. Like,
too much uncertainty.
We're getting, there's no, like I was watching while I was doing the breakdown, there's very minimal film on Jalen Hurts. You're getting RPO with him. You got DeVonta Smith, and I'm not sure any other weapons they have, but the only reason that they were bad last year is because of injuries and because Carson Wentz regression. I think I saw something where like half of their defensive possessions, they started on a short field. They have one of the best defensive lines still, and I don't know what Nick Sirianni is planning on doing in Philly.
Me neither. No one does, but they play one of the easier schedules in the NFL. I think it's 8th or 9th. And I just think that, the Giants, I like Washington quite a bit. We've talked about it a little bit. And Dallas, we'll see. Everyone's talking up the offense again. We'll see how Dak is. Not only just the shoulder injury from yesterday, but just bouncing back from the severe foot injury. I don't know. I'm a little more bullish on the Eagles, I think, than most people, or at least the market.
I saw plus money on the 6.5 or the over 6.5.
You can get 6s. Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, is you can get 6s where in a 17-game season, they'd have to go 5 or 12 or worse. I think they have enough to get to 6 wins where you're pushing those. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion. I think we'll get into a lot more when we do bring up Washington, when you get to the Washington football team video, because that's the team that I've kind of heard some bullish cases for. I'll get into why I'm bullish, but then I've also heard people kind of being contrarian bullish and going, bearish the other way. So it's kind of, I've heard both sides. The market has moved a little bit to the Washington side anyway too, but Philadelphia schedule sets up pretty nicely. A lot of that uncertainty, I guess my ultimate point is it can be a positive to Philadelphia. I know as bettors, as gamblers, you generally don't want to then rush to bet on the uncertainty. But if you think you have a good gauge for a lot of the other stuff, there's a few question marks. I mean, it can be a positive for Philadelphia as a whole. So it's not necessarily like, oh, well, we don't know about the new setup and scheme and coaching and, this and that. It's like, oh, well, that's how you can make money sometimes, is taking advantage of some of the uncertainty. So just wanted to lock that in, mention that Taysom Hill's better than Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
Listen, that game, not even close. They were that's the game that I was like,
It was the game, you said the last game of the season, right?
and not the last game of the season. It was the last Eagles win. They were up 17-0, and it was just like Taysom Hill was throwing stick routes and 4 yards underneath, and he couldn't press anything downfield. And I think Jalen Hurts made like 1 or 2 big throws, but they jumped on him early.
All right, do you want to really dive into this?
We can talk about it. I want to let you pull your things up.
One of the players threw for 300 yards. One of them threw for 167. One of them threw for 2 touchdowns. One of them threw for 1.
What's okay in context? They were down 17.
This is the difference. The Saints, by the way, they lost by 3. What you said blowout. Yeah, it was 17-0. Then the Saints started trying, and it was 24-21, and they had a chance to win the game at the end. They gave up 250 rushing yards. It's not Taysom Hill's fault that they gave up literally 250 rushing yards for the Eagles. Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Reagor, and Boston Scott combined for 250 rushing on 7 a carry against the Saints rush defense that's always elite. And Taysom Hill still almost won the game.
He didn't almost win the game.
He did. They lost by 3, and they had a drive to win at the end.
If you're up 17-0, they got laxed, obviously, but it wasn't. They were in control of the game. Like, you're telling me that the Saints defense.
I'm telling you, it's not Taysom Hill's fault. They gave up 250 rushing yards to the Eagles.
I didn't say it was his fault. I'm just saying that he didn't do much to get them back in the game.
He did. They literally were down 17-0 at halftime, and they almost came back and won.
Because I'm pretty sure the Eagles were playing prevent and just trying to not give up big plays.
The third quarter, they weren't playing prevent in the third quarter. That's when the Saints scored
17,
almost.
If you're up 17, you're not.
It was 17-14 with 7 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, well,
it was a 3-point game for 22 minutes. They're not playing prevent up 3.
Not
for 22
3,
minutes.
But if you're up 17, you're not bringing 6. You're not bringing 7. You're playing base.
But when you're up 3 in the final 22 minutes, they're not playing prevent. That's what you would say.
They let him back in the game. It wasn't a game where Taysom Hill or the Saints had a chance.
They didn't let him back in the game. You don't play prevent coming out of halftime. You don't. Tell me the coach that told you play prevent minute 31 of a game.
There's no
because
coach.
The Saints scored 2 TDs.
There's no coach on this planet that's bringing 5, bringing 6 when you're up 14 or 17 points. Coaches are playing base defense, and they're rallying up. They're letting you make tackles. They're letting you throw underneath routes because it's eating the clock. You're not pressing the ball.
You're not doing that coming out of halftime. You do that maybe in the fourth quarter, and usually not until the back half of the fourth quarter. You're saying they came out of halftime and they were like, hey, we're going to play prevent. Oh, no, we gave up back-to-back touchdowns. Now we're only up 3.
They were playing base defense. Don't let anything get behind you and come up and make the tackle. That's how you play when you're ahead. And teams always let teams back in because they have to throw the ball. And
so then let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Why do teams let other teams back in on purpose? You just said it always happens, and it does happen a lot.
It's not on purpose. It's for the sheer fact that if you give up a big play, there's more time on the clock for people or teams to come back. So what they do, you play base defense.
I understand what they do, but you're right. They always let teams back in it, and the analytics people say you shouldn't be playing prevent defense. What's the point of playing prevent defense? You give up scores way more often. Maybe you take another minute and a half, 2 on a drive tops off the clock.
That's what matters.
For one, no one's playing prevent coming out of halftime.
You're trying to run. It's time of possession.
Right.
If you're up, you're not playing.
And I'm telling you that in general, it's an incorrect philosophy, an incorrect way to play the game. And it's definitely not the right one to do minute 31 to start the third quarter, which is not what the Eagles were doing.
It's not an incorrect philosophy because they won. Granted, they had to actually.
They almost lost and they were up 17 at halftime.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
You're telling me that you're fine being up 17 and winning all the games very, very, very minimally at the very end.
A win. Don't nobody care. You don't get style points. You don't get anything extra for winning by 20. It's a dub. When you go out on defense and you're up 17, you're trying to keep them from scoring 18 points. And that's it. I don't care about anything else.
It's extremely flawed logic that you should, as long as we barely win, we're okay with that.
No,
you need to avoid barely winning. You need to win by 14 or 17 more frequently, and that's how you win more games. You don't say, hey, I'm glad we got a W, even though we almost blew it. We're going to keep going back to what worked by giving the Saints 14 right back.
That's an execution thing. That has nothing to do.
You need to stay ahead of we almost lost the game and blew a lead.
You just need to win the game.
No, it's
you
flawed.
Just need to win
the amount of times that you're in the situation where we just barely won gives the other
because you
team
were playing base.
that's that many chances that the other team can actually beat you. We see it happen all the time where there's comebacks, crazy comebacks, and the other time was just don't put yourself in that spot to begin with.
So let me ask you this: what's your strategy up 17?
Not playing prevent to start the third quarter. If you're really going to go by that,
what are you doing? You're running the ball, right?
And they were getting 7 yards a carry, so of course.
Okay, so something happened.
That's another way. If you're having success on the ground and you want to run clock, you can run the
clock.
football. That's
So,
fine. But you're not playing prevent defense, which is your thing in the third quarter. He let Taysom Hill, eat up yards.
They're playing base defense.
No one's playing prevent to start
they
the third
weren't,
quarter.
Dog,
and if you are, it's completely incorrect, and it didn't work, and they almost lost the game.
What do you mean
so there's
it didn't
nothing
work?
to
They
even
won.
back. I didn't even hear what you said.
The Eagles won. It did work. Whether they had to come out and
didn't
play
work.
one more hard drive or get one more score or get one more completion off or first down, it doesn't matter what happened throughout the course of the third quarter.
If you have a plan going into the second half and you lose the half by 14 points, you failed. It's not going to work. You're going to lose more games going that way.
Works at all.
It is. If you have a plan in the second half, whether you have a 17-point lead or you're down, if you lose halves by 2 TDs, it's bad.
But you win the game.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's flawed logic.
It's
if you're
not.
putting yourself in spots where you're going to barely win a close one and be happy, hoorah, yay, we're going to win a close
What's the
game,
goal-
even though we were up
what's the goal
17.
of- what's the goal of
the goal
NFL
is to put
season
yourself
on
in the best chances to win, and letting it get close is
And
not the best
let
chance to win.
Not let a rookie quarterback throw the ball. Not let a rookie.
That has nothing to do with
quarterback-
defensive
It
game
does.
planning at
Defensively,
halftime.
You're coming out and you're playing base. You're not bringing 8. You're not stacking the box. You're not running 7-man blitzes or anything like that. You're sitting in base defense, rallying up and making a tackle, and that's it. If they
And it didn't work. That's what I'm saying.
It did work.
It
They
didn't.
won.
They gave up 2 touchdowns,
They
right?
won.
It's flawed.
They won.
And they could have lost.
Here, you play to win the game.
And they are in a spot where they could have
You
lost.
play to win.
What do you not
the
understand?
game.
That they were an underdog
play-
live at some point in the fourth quarter.
Okay, from a
They
betting,
put themselves in a spot where the betting market
From a
said, "Hey, the
betting
Eagles are going to
perspective-
lose this game more
from a
often than
betting
not."
perspective,
Why would you
you're
put
right.
yourself in a spot where you're going to lose more often than not?
From
It's
a
just a
betting
stupid.
perspective,
It's a
you're
stupid
right.
opinion to go and say, "Hey, I'm gonna play base, let them score twice, and play prevent coming out of halftime. We're gonna be up 3 and be 30% to win the game." Even if they did win, yes, it happens. They can win. 30%ers win sometimes. But it's flawed logic to say, hey, as long as they won, it was okay and it was the right strategy. It's not the right strategy to give yourself 30% equity in an event or a win, whether it's a sporting game, whether it's an actual sports bet. You never want to be like, it's okay, we put ourselves in a bad spot because we won.
From a
That's
betting
not the way to
perspective-
go about it.
From a betting perspective, you're correct. From a football
perspective, you say,
No.
look up the live lines
have-
in the middle of the
we
third
have a
quarter, and
call.
the Eagles were dogs.
we have a call.
The Eagles were dogs. You don't want to be an underdog, do you? No.
have a call.
And you could have avoided that. Ty, what's your bet?
What's up, dude?
You have a baseball underdog? I know we've just been waiting for you to give us the ring.
Can
Or are you going
tell
swimming?
Me if Dressel wins the 50
Oh, no.
and the guy that's in first wins his bet, how many units am I chasing? Like point something?
You're down 0.21. He's going to win Team USA, so you'll be down 1.21. So you need to have plus 122 or better.
I got one for you.
Okay.
I'll go with the Blue Jays money line tonight. It's a part one of a parlay.
Okay, I can give you minus 215.
Okay, Katie Ledecky in the 800-meter free, which is tonight. I see minus 900. I don't know if you can get me a better price.
Oh, gosh. He's going to have this 3 or 4 team all favorite. All right, hold on. Ledecky, it's the 100-meter freestyle.
Yep.
Hold on, I need to go to women's tab. Just give me a second. I only see the 800-meter up, 100-meter, more swimming. Hold on, let me hit the more swimming tab. I don't see 100-meter free at the 2 books I'm going back and forth between.
It's 800-meter free.
Got it. 800-meter. I can give you, it's better than that. You want minus 450?
Yep, I do.
So if I plug that in, you have a minus 215 and a minus 450. You're going to need one more leg, but you can probably get this to plus 122 or better.
So So I don't know if this will do it, but Dressel in the 100-meter butterfly.
Are you a swimmer?
He's a baseball player.
Do
I'm
you
a
follow
baseball
swimming?
guy.
I'm just curious why you've gone to swimming
Yeah,
so frequently.
I like following Olympic swimming.
Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I was just curious. 100-meter butterfly minus 700? Jeez, he's just a
Yep.
monster. Okay, hold on. I hope this is plus 120. Oh, yeah, you're only at plus 106, man. Do you have a backup fourth leg?
Yeah.
I mean, we can take one of the other ones out and swap another one in that's just better priced, but
No.
wait, what if
So
you
I'm gonna-
added? What
I'm
if you
gonna
added
go-
in his USA minus 5,000? Hold on,
Yeah, see what
That's
that
diabolical.
that's only 5 more cents. It doesn't matter. Yeah, leave it out.
Are there Olympic basketball games tomorrow?
USA is the main one.
Yeah.
Let's do this. I'm trying to figure this out for you, although I don't really look at anything other than baseball. There's another big favorite in baseball. The White Sox, Lance Lynn on the mound, minus 212. You could just do Toronto and the White Sox.
Let's see. What? How many more cents does it make it if I take France? It's only going to do another 5 cents. France to beat Iran tonight at 9.
What's the price there?
Basketball. Yeah, it's minus 5,000.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Minus. Yeah, plus 115. You're still behind by about 6 cents.
So I need what? One more bigger favorite?
Yeah. You want to call back in a few minutes?
All right. No, I got one for you. You're going to laugh.
Oh, no. Okay.
Japan, there's an event in the Olympics called mixed judo.
Okay.
Japan, I want Japan in that event. I see minus 500.
Okay, I'm going to take out the minus 5,000s then, okay, just in case something weird happens. We're going to go minus 500. We can probably take out, no, we can't. Okay, plus 148. Plus 148, so you for sure would get ahead. I'm going to make sure we can't take out the Caleb Dressel one. We can't. Okay, yep, so you need to do all 4. That's your best shot.
Okay.
You want to lock it in?
All right,
I have
so
no idea how we're going to find the result that is trustworthy for this jiu-jitsu, whatever, but we'll make sure if it does win that
So
we get a confirmation.
It's Blue Jays, Ledecky, Dressel in Japan.
Correct. 4 legs.
All right, thank you. I'll let you run. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Take it easy. We got to roll our call with Dylan. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to fit it in for the Game Plus network. They might have to cut it off a little bit early, but we wanted to give his thoughts on my ACC picks. We'll just let it run. And if you guys want, you can go to youtube.com/betstv to see the end if you want to see the last few minutes, or just on my Twitter feed at Sportscheetah is my Twitter handle. But let's run that at Thoughts of Dylan. We caught up with him right before we went live on the show and pre-recorded. But here's his thoughts on the ACC and my bets. 2, 1. All right, we have Dylan back on the Last Word Cheetah show. He joined us after we went through the Big Ten, did a little preview with us, told me the bets that I made that he disagreed with, the ones that he agreed with. Welcome back. This is at Thoughts of Dylan on Twitter. That's where you can find him. You ready to break down the ACC?
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to start with Miami. There was one bet that I liked on Monday. We went over 3 teams, Clemson, UNC, and Miami. And the one, I think, future price, the win total that stuck out the most was the Hurricanes at 9.5. Now, there's a lot of 9s at plus money under. I liked it at 9.5, minus 140 or better. That is what we played on Monday. A lot of it, I think, outside of the fact that I think most people are saying, hey, it's UNC or Miami, Derek King, no problem, smooth recovery. The offense with Rhett Lashley in year 2 is going to be fantastic. It's possible. I still think there's a lot of uncertainty on Derek King being 100% of who he was before and being 100% period. And there's the uncertainty with the fact that he just runs the ball so frequently that maybe he's not even going to be under center every game. But defensively, They ranked 10th in the conference in opponent EPA through the air when they weren't able to generate a pass rush. They had two of the best pass rushers in the conference in the country that left. They lose them, and I worry is defensively how Matt Diaz has relied on this like turnover chain mantra, right, the last few years, is if they're not able to generate that pass rush and force those turnovers, they're not good defensively. And then if J.R. King is not 100%, whatever it may be, my numbers think that they're more like an 8 or 9 win team more often than 10 or more, especially with their schedule. So give me your general thoughts on the Miami Hurricanes. If you side my way, lean one way or the other.
Yeah, I tend to agree with your sentiment. I do strongly agree with your point on the defensive line. I really don't think they're that good there. I mean, probably around average, maybe a little above average. And the secondary, I think, is good, but not great. And, the offense usually wins in college football. And I don't know if they really have a game breaker at wide receiver, like a guy who can win one-on-one. And the offensive line, probably average at best. That'd be an improvement, actually. So, yeah I'm not they're a good team, but definitely not great.
So NC State, I'm not going to get into much because I know we're in agreement here. We've spoken before. I think he started 4 games, but I loved Devin Leary under center, the NC State Wolfpack offense. He took them to another level. He's obviously going to be a go this year and hopefully healthy majority. I like 6.5s at plus money or the 6s that were juiced earlier when we did this futures bet on Tuesday. Break down the NC State setup. I know that you like them and are bullish this year.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty high on Leary. I think he's probably one of the better QBs in the conference, and they're really deep elsewhere. They have good skill and depth. NC State, I think they're actually a pretty underrated program when it comes to, kind of having dudes. And I really like the defense, and they have a decent amount of playmakers, and you kind of throw out the stats last year with the backup QB. So, yeah, I'm pretty bullish on them.
Beautiful. So that's one I know you had said that you agreed with. This one, I think maybe you're more tempered. I like Florida State over 5.5. Now, what's interesting about this, and we've broken it down a lot this week on the show, but there are 8 teams that are within about 19 or 20 spots of my power ratings after the UNC Miami tier. I think NC State's a little bit ahead of everyone else, but even including them, there's really 7 in like the next 15 spots or something. Florida State's one of those teams, and it's interesting because now I have kind of this dynamic in the conference where I have a lot of value on certain win totals just because the market is a lot more dispersed than my personal projections, and I'm taking into account obviously the strength of schedule and who they're going to be facing. But I have Florida State as a 6-win team or better often enough to beat the VIG on a 5.5. I think weird year 0 COVID conference, no real practice or setup for Mike Norvell, who came over and was awesome at Memphis. And what's crazy is that their running game ranked 4th in EPA per rush last year. And you remember at Memphis, you always see these explosive runs and outside zone runs that Norvell puts together. It worked to Florida State too, and they didn't have a passing game. That ranked 121st in the country, and their defense was awful. So considering the talent they have, the recruiting, the scheme, having a real offseason, it's just a team that I don't see being 5 or fewer wins often enough. It's a smaller bet, I'll say that, relative to some of the others that I like. But it's just one, like, kind of on principle. The numbers say, the priors back it up. Seminoles over 5.5. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm actually a little lower on them in the market, but I'm not going to bet their win total just because I respect the talent and recruiting that they have. I mean, I think the key to their team, if you're kind of undecided, is what you think about them along the line of scrimmage. I know they had the good rushing stats last year, but I still don't think their line was that good overall, especially in pass protection. And I know they really put on like a full court press for the grad transfer O-lineman from Marshall, and they whiffed there. So I think that kind of tells you what they think of that. And they did add a D lineman from Georgia who's probably the best player on their team, and he was more of a, like a rotational player for them. So that's a nice upgrade on a unit that struggled. But then again, if your best player is a rotational player from a better team, I don't know if that's the best thing in the world. Receivers are, I mean, they have some potential, but I don't think they're that good. And then Milton, the quarterback's kind of a wild card. We assume he'll start, but how healthy is he? So, yeah, I respect their talent enough to not throw them in the trash, but I'm not bullish on them, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, that's part of what we talked about, too, was the upside of Mackenzie Milton potentially. And if he doesn't end up playing or it doesn't work out or he's not as healthy as he looked a few years ago when he was at UCF, they have someone that can step in at least that played plenty last year under center. But there is, I think, a ceiling that's a little higher for the Seminoles than their floor because of Milton and what he can bring to the table through the air, and at least be a team that ranks better than 121st out of 127 teams passing the football. Real quick, the next one, I know you're in disagreement. You can get 6.5s on Virginia. I have to go under. I'm pretty sure my projection it wasn't even 6. It was like a 5.7 or a 5.8 if I recall. Their schedule is really tough. Even outside of the conference, they have to play BYU, Notre Dame, and then an Illinois game that's not a certain win. And I know people were surprised, myself included, last year, first year, Brennan Armstrong taking over, and they were just better offensively after Perkins left than people expected. Defensively, I always like Bronco Mendenhall, his scheme. They kind of plug whoever in, and they can be an above-average team defensively. But versus the schedule, I don't see them winning 7. Plus, I know you disagree with me here, so tell me why you like Virginia.
Yeah, I didn't actually bet it myself, but I'm not too interested in the under because I think their offense is actually pretty good, even though it's unconventional. I think they can be pretty efficient, and their skill position players all right, and their line, I think their O-line's pretty experienced and pretty good. And on defense, you kind of touched on Mendenhall. He's known for that. He's really good there, and their secondary really struggled last year. I think I kind of trust him to get it right, and if that happens, I think they're as good as almost anybody in the conference besides Clemson, UNC, Miami, and they even beat North Carolina last year. And Mendenhall teams in general, they strike me as a team who can pull upsets, kind of punch above their weight. And I think they have like 4 or so coin flip games or toss-up games. And if you put Virginia in one of those spots, I like them more often than not. I think they win between, I'd say 6 and 8 games. I do think they make a bowl game, so that's why I'm not too interested in going under.
Cool. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the Dylan convo after we send our friends tuning in from the Game Plus Network off officially. We wanted to appreciate you guys for tuning in this week. It is Friday. We will be back next week starting on Monday, and we will finish the interview with Dylan. We'll run it on Monday as well if you want to get a breakdown on the rest of my ACC Futures bets. But hopefully people have been following Monday through Thursday. We went through every single team. I like 7 season win totals in the ACC. That's a massive number. It's half of the teams in the conference. But thank you guys again. Tuning into Last Word Cheetah. We're brought to you by Bets TV. We'll be back next week starting Monday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific as usual. You guys enjoy the weekend.